It's got to think. Hello, this is Aaron LeBauer with LeBauer Consulting, and this is the CashPT Lunch Hour. This is CashPT Lunch Hour number 29 with Justine Calderwood, and we're going to be talking about her cash-based practice and how she started it in a really, really small town. And I've got a lot of other great questions about her. It's not just about being in a small town. She's done a lot of different things in her practice, and I'm super excited to have her here. So if you're here and you're just joining us, you're in the right place. If you're here for the CashPT Lunch Hour, please put a sign in the chat and just let me know that you can hear me well, you can see us okay, and where you're calling in from. Because it's always great to know where people are calling in from, what part of the state, the country, even the world. We've had people from Africa, the North Pole, North Carolina down the road, etc. And then, so if you're just getting in, be sure to mark in the chat box where you're calling in from. Oh, it's Nuha from Orland Park, Illinois. I'm assuming that's somewhere near Chicago, right? And then I've got a great guest today. Her name is Justine Calderwood from Woodland Park, Colorado. And I'm super excited to have you guys join us. So we'll get started in just a moment. I want to make sure everyone gets here. There's Angela from College Park, Maryland, Britt from Sioux Falls, South Dakota, Austin, Portland, Maine, Aaron in Tampa. Awesome. I'm super excited to have you guys here. And Aaron from Ohio. There's a bunch of Aarons here today. And then Doris from Newburyport, Massachusetts. Wonderful, wonderful. So if you're just getting here, this is the CashPT Lunch Hour. My name is Aaron LeBauer, and this is the CashPT Lunch Hour number 29 with Justine Calderwood, and I'm super excited to get started. So let me introduce Justine. Justine is a physical therapist, and she's also a mouthwash release therapist and uses essential oils in her practice as well. She's doing a lot of different things, and she started her cash practice not too long ago, and I'm super excited to have her here, and I'm going to let her introduce herself. So welcome, Justine. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Aaron. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
Yeah, great. Well, just introduce yourself. Tell us, where you are, a little bit about your practice.
Okay, so I'm located in Woodland Park, Colorado, which is about 25 miles from Colorado Springs, which is a much bigger city. So I'm up in the mountains, and a little bit about my practice. I specialize in myofascial release. I work a lot with chronic pain patients. That's primarily who I attract, people that just haven't quite found the answer to feeling better and moving easier. And I'm also just starting to step out into women's health, which is a really big need in this community. So I've talked to some of the other providers in this area, a couple doctors and there's just not anybody in Woodland Park that does that. So I'm just honestly getting started, but I feel like I know enough to step out into it. And I already have been treating some patients. I haven't had anybody yet come to me primarily for women's health issues, but I've been helping some of my lower back patients that I suspected had some pelvic floor involvement. So that's in a nutshell me.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So who would you say is your kind of perfect patient or the typical person that you see in your practice?
Typical person that I see is somebody that's been dealing with pain for quite a while. Like I said, that just quite hasn't found what they're looking for. So I really try to bring in people that maybe have tried traditional physical therapy, even chiropractic care, massage. They're just still missing. They're still looking for that. I also attract people that, it's part of my tagline or whatever you want to call it, but that I help people with natural alternatives to medications, injections, and surgery. And I just recently had somebody come to me specifically because that was her goal. She has lateral epicondylitis. She wants to avoid surgery. And after 4 visits, she told me, there's no way I'm having surgery. I'm feeling that much better. So I'm just really trying to attract those people that are maybe on their last hope, or maybe not, but that are just looking for that piece of it.
That's wonderful. Yeah, that's kind of the same thing that I had, It's like
Yeah.
people are like already been like five other places. And do you find that a lot of people haven't been touched by someone before or in the right place, or is it a little different?
Yeah, I do find that some people haven't even been touched. Like I had a patient recently that told me, "Oh my gosh, you gave me a very thorough evaluation. Like nobody in the last 20 years has looked at me like that." And I didn't even do. I mean, I did an evaluation, but not like the evaluations I used to do as a new grad, where I looked at everything, But
Right.
he was so impressed with that I had actually looked at things and looked at areas that even like I've been taught with John Barnes to look elsewhere for the cause of the issue. And so
Hmm.
when people come to me and they have neck pain, I don't just focus on the neck like everybody else has done up until that. Like I'm truly looking at their hips and trying to find out where it's stemming from.
Awesome. That's wonderful. How far away are people coming to see you? Or like, can you tell us a little bit about Woodland Park? Like, you said it's like a 30 minutes away from Colorado Springs, just in relation to Denver, and how far away is it from, the other towns, and how, like we know, I think it said it's about 7,000 people that live there.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. About 7,000 people. So, I mean, Woodland Park itself, it's small, but we have everything that we need for the most part. I mean, we do have a small hospital. We have a Walmart. We have grocery stores and all that stuff. There's quite a few practitioners here, actually. As far there's three other physical therapists in town that do in network. There's a bunch of chiropractors. There's massage
Mhm.
therapists. I mean, there's a lot of other body workers. 30 minutes away. Most people, I mean, they do stay in the community clearly for their care, but a lot of people are also used to going down the hill, we call it, like
Mhm.
down the mountain pass to go to the springs, because there's more, it's a big city, and
Right.
so people go there for a lot of their care or a lot of services, the mall, that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But I have had people looking specifically for myofascial release that have driven up the hill for
Wow.
care, looking for me. I've had people drive as far away as Peyton, Colorado. Um, anyway, about an hour drive to come
Mhm.
specifically to see because of what I have to offer. Um, and then we're about 2 hours from Denver to give you
Okay.
an idea.
Okay, cool. And the skiing must be really good nearby.
Yeah, so the nearest ski resort is about an hour and a half. But
Okay.
yeah, you can go like anywhere.
Yeah, that's awesome. I've been skiing I've been to Vail and Beaver Creek, and I've been over to Arapahoe Basin, A Basin, and Keystone, one or two other places over there, Breckenridge. I have a good friend that lives in Colorado Springs. So,
Oh, okay,
yeah.
cool. Well, you've been to more places than I have to ski. I've lived here for about 2 years, but uh,
Okay.
yeah.
So, so you moved to Woodland Park about 2 years ago, is that right?
Yep.
And
Yeah, I
where'd you
was
move
living in
from?
Iowa. What's that?
You moved from Iowa? Is
Yeah, I
that?
moved from Iowa. That's where I grew up. Kind of had moved around to different places, but up until we moved in 2015, we had lived in Iowa for about 10 years, I think.
Okay.
Um,
And how'd you choose Woodland Park?
we chose Woodland Park because actually my husband got a chance to relocate here for his job and do like a lateral move. He got to keep his job, and
Hmm.
we had always talked about moving to Colorado at some point in our lives, probably in the last 15 years. And so it was something that we knew long term we wanted to get out here, but we didn't know when. And then this job opportunity came up, and we said, you know what, we think it's time.
That's
So
awesome.
we just, yeah, so we jumped on it.
Cool. So, and then when did you start your cash-based practice? Was it right away when you moved there, or did it take a little while?
No, I took about a year. We moved here in July of 2015, actually
Hmm.
less than a year. When we first moved here, I wanted to homeschool our kids, and that kind of flopped. That's a whole nother podcast. But I had this dream that I wanted to open a cash-based business. So when it looked like, okay, this homeschooling bit isn't gonna really be the thing for our family, I started, really pursuing it more. I'd already had the cash PT blueprint. It was already there for me. I had already
Hmm.
purchased it, but hadn't done anything with it. And so come January of 2016, I talked to my husband and I said, I really want to do this. And he said, all right, I think now's the time. Let's do this. So I officially started it January of 2016, but I didn't. It took me a few months to actually get to the point where I could open the doors because I was still
Hmm.
homeschooling during that time, and so it took me until May of 2016 to actually have my website up and be ready to say I'm a business.
Okay,
So a
awesome.
little over a year.
Yeah, yeah. And so you basically you did that with very few connections. It's not like you were connected in the community and you lived there for
Yeah.
25, 40 years
Yeah,
or whatever.
nobody knew me. I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't a healthcare provider here. I do actually still at this point, I work as an independent contractor down in Colorado Springs.
Hmm.
But I mean, that's people, I don't see people from Woodland Park there. So nobody in this community knew me. The only, doctor that I knew or was my own primary care physician, and
Yeah.
he I'm sure doesn't know me. So yeah, nobody here knew anything about me.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. So, I mean, I think that's important. I just want to point that out because a lot of people contact me or write me and say, "Hey, a cash practice isn't going to work because I live in too small of a town, or it only works in a big city, or you were connected in your community and that's why it works." And I just kind of want to share that. I didn't know that you had recently moved there, but I think it's important to point out
Mhm.
that you
Yeah.
don't have to be really well connected, and the place doesn't have to be very large to have a successful practice. Is that, I mean, did you even have those thoughts at all when you moved there, when you were getting started?
Yes and no. I did have those thoughts, but I also have heard you say that so many times. It doesn't matter the size, it doesn't matter your connections, that this can happen anywhere. So I don't know, call me a fool, but I believed you. And so I just decided, this can work. And I guess I'll know in time if it doesn't, but I wasn't going to let that fear hold me back of not knowing. I'd
Awesome.
rather try it out and see.
Yeah. Was there, was there something that happened or specific that in your career that you made you decide, okay, when I open a practice, or I need to open a practice, or it's got to be cash based? I mean, was there something that says, okay, I got to go into private practice, and then it's got to be cash based rather than with insurance?
A couple things. One, I was getting super frustrated with my job in Iowa. Just I wasn't able to see, I got to see people for an hour, but I was doing a lot of evaluations and I was, delegating to the physical therapy assistants. And I worked with an amazing group of people, but I got to the point when especially when I started myofascial release, that I was doing something different than what the PTAs knew. And so I was getting a lot of stuff from patients like saying, can I just see you? The treatment that you do is different than what they're doing. And I was teaching them some of that. We were doing some workshop stuff in the clinic, but it just wasn't the same because they didn't have that background from John Barnes themselves. And
Mm-hmm.
so that was there. And around that time during a class, actually, that really two things happened. One, I was in a class with John, and he was talking about how he does things, and I raised my hand, and I think he was making fun of, like, taking measurements, and I raised my hand. I
Right.
said, well, I am one of those silly physical therapists that do take measurements because I have to justify everything, and
Mm-hmm.
he looked at me and he goes, well, get the hell out. And so that stuck in
Right.
my mind. He's like, get the hell out, start your own business, do it your own way, do it the way that you feel. And then I, at that time, was getting some treatment with a myofascial release therapist that I was driving 3 hours to go get treatment from. And
Mm-hmm.
she just kind of nudged me and she said, okay, well, when are you getting your big girl panties? When are you going to get them on and do this? And I was like, okay. So that stuck in my mind, and it just propelled me forward when I could be on one side going, like, complaining about my job and it's not working out and I really want to do it this way, and I had this vision of what I wanted to do, and I had these nudges that said, well, what are you waiting for? Do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I came upon you from, I reached out to Jared Carter, actually. I was looking at some of his stuff. Somebody had recommended his ebook, and in that process, he actually referred me to you because he said, well, I don't have a blueprint. I don't have probably what you're looking for. And I
Mm-hmm.
needed that blueprint to get started. I needed an organized way to jump into it. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it.
Wow. Awesome. That's so cool. That's neat. I'm blushing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's great. So, tell me about a little bit about your business. How long you've seen patients, how often. What's your just give us a general. Because people ask me, well, how often do you see patients? What's it like? Just give us a little view into what your daily, weekly kind of routine is with patients, with your business, and how that kind of runs. Just
Yeah. So I see patients, most of the people I see for 30 minutes. Some people will get longer treatments, and I do offer 90-minute sessions. When I first started, I was actually offering some 30-minute ones, but I realized very quickly that it wasn't working. I would get doing myofascial release, as you know, you need to hold the longer holds in that. And so by the time I did a quick assessment, got the chit chat out of the way, and get some treatment, I was finding 30 minutes wasn't enough, and I was going over, and then I wasn't feeling good about that because I was, giving away my time.
So you
So
do
most
mostly
people,
60-minute. Sorry,
60 minutes.
you do mostly 60-minute sessions. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. But then I also, so I see people on average, I would say once a week. Some people, when I do get them, they're more complex. They have multiple
Mhm.
things going on. And so with those people, I may see 2 times a week. I also offer 2 therapist treatments. So I bring a massage therapist in, and that's a whole other thing. Like with billing, they can't really get reimbursed with that unless that's in their plan, but their insurance out of network benefits. But I do bring in a massage therapist, and she helps me with the 2 therapist treatments, and I
Mhm.
just give her. I pay her to come to do that, and it's just a service that it's great. I love it. That was one of my vision. Like, man, I want to be able to offer that for people because it's different. Other therapists aren't doing that here.
Yeah. Yeah. That's neat. That's really cool. What else are you doing that no one else is providing in town? Yeah.
So I'm also doing some workshops, like small group
Hmm.
classes. I'm finding that people here want to know you. The in-person stuff that I do helps. So I developed some myofascial release, like self-care classes that I go over. Like I give them a small ball, and we go over some stretches and just treatment. So I made it into like a series of workshops, and I'm in the process of developing some more specific things because I'm finding like
Hmm.
people will come with just some general things, but they have very specific questions. And I try to get them to move from, if their first point of contact with me is through a workshop, then I try to get them to come for individual therapy. But it's also nice for my people that I'm already seeing as a patient to give them that option of like, you know what, I'm going to focus on your back or whatever's going on, but you would benefit from learning this other part of it
Right.
and learning more about it. And it's also been a great way for them to, recommend to their friends and for me to meet, people that aren't like if your friend tells you, yeah, you should go to this physical therapist. I mean, that's great, and that's word of mouth is wonderful, but they're still skeptical, and so that's kind of
Yeah.
that meeting point for them to go, oh, well, you can meet her in this setting with other people, and judge for yourself if it's somebody you want to work with. So
That's neat. So, are you doing these group classes just in your own practice? Or are you partnering with someone else, like a gym, yoga studio, something like that, to do them? How are you doing?
both.
How are you setting those up?
Actually, both. So I now rent a group room. I'm sharing with some other therapists, and they're actually psychologists or counselors. And so the room is set up. Um, I just rearrange it, but they use it for like group therapy. And I just move the chairs off to the side. I bring my mats out, and it's not a big space, but so I use my own space there. And then I've also teamed up and rented the yoga studio that's just right around the corner from my office. So I've been teaming up with her. We just did, actually last week, we did an aroma yoga class using the essential
Hmm.
oils. Um, and I've done like an unwinding class, self unwinding that I did there. So yeah, so it's a little bit
Neat.
bigger space. I can fit more people there. And then also, I think it just helps to network with other professionals. It lends credibility to what you're doing if they're also kind of endorsing and along with it, you know
Right.
and
Right.
vice versa.
100%.
Like it's great to work with the counselors and the yoga teachers and things like that because it lends
Hmm.
credibility to what they're also doing that piece of the pie.
Yeah. Are you doing these for free, or are you guys charging for the attendees?
So we are doing these for a charge. Yeah, I've
Hmm.
done some free classes. I've done like just an informational, like what is myofascial release. I've done that, but I'm actually at this point charging for them. And yeah, I'm getting people in the
Awesome.
door. Yeah.
How many people on average come to a class, and what are you guys charging? And does it vary depending on which class you offer?
Yeah. So right now, I can fit in my group space. I can only fit four, which is fine because
Hmm.
everybody gets really, that attention that they need. I'm charging $97 for the four workshop class, and I'm
Hmm.
just actually in October. I'm going to take that class, and I've condensed it into two like longer classes or two classes. It's the same content, just in two sessions versus the four. I'm still
Hmm.
playing around with what works with the time, and like the time of day. But I've done classes for like $20 for like the self unwinding class we did for $20, and that was like an hour
Hmm.
long, hour and a half. The essential oils classes that I do, it's more of like an informational thing. I did
Hmm.
one 2 weeks ago. It was called a sip and sniff, but I had wine and some food.
Uh-huh.
They sat. It was very fun. In that group space, I can fit, probably 10 of us sitting. But I
Oh,
charged
neat.
for that, and it was a lot of fun.
Cool.
Yeah,
That's very cool. That's a great idea.
yeah.
So, tell us a little bit more about the essential oils. Is that a second business, or how do you tie that in with your physical therapy?
Yeah, so it is a second business, and and I'm trying. I'm in the process now in my mind of merging them. Like it works together, but it's a network marketing I do with Young Living essential oils, and I got into it personally about maybe 3 to 4 years ago. I can't remember exactly, but I got into it for my own personal use, like personal growth, and in probably about a year ago. I didn't even know you could do it as a business. I was just purchasing what I needed for my own, goals. And about a year ago, actually, in your group, I met another physical therapist that was using them. She's a PT, a yoga instructor, and she was doing Young Living as a business. And she just had a post in one of the, I think CashPT Nation, that she was inviting people to learn more about it and learn how to incorporate it in the business and into like a physical therapy or yoga
Hmm.
business. And it really, interested me. I thought, I wonder how that's working. So I reached out to her, and it was great that I did because she's now turned into like a mentor for me, and it's helping me grow personally and professionally, and she's given me the information and the guidance to help me incorporate it into using it with patients, because it helps to support the body, it helps to support emotional balance and things
Hmm.
like that, and that all goes into what I'm doing as a physical therapist with the myofascial release.
Awesome. Awesome. What's your biggest challenge with actually having kind of two businesses going at the same time or growing at the same time?
Yeah. So I started with the business with Young Living not too long after I'd actually opened my doors. So it was a lot, just to wrap my mind around how I was going to do this. But for the longest time, I looked at it as two businesses. Like you asked me, you have two businesses. It is, but I started noticing how I could incorporate the two. Like, for instance, I was learning about, marketing and follow up systems for my physical therapy practice, and how to use like automated emails, for instance. And when I
Hmm.
started with Young Living, it was like I got to the point where it's like, oh, wait, hold on. I already have this email system. Can I use that for following up with these people that have expressed some interest in essential oils? And so I brought it
Yeah.
to the attention of our team, and I said, wait, hold on, can't we do this? And they were like, yes, that's awesome. That's a great idea. So now we've developed as a team. We've been sharing that on those emails and getting people into that funnel of, okay, if
Hmm.
they're interested, they go on the interested email sequence. If then they purchase the starter kit, then they go. I unsubscribe them from that, and they go into my funnel of educating them about what they need, and it frees up my time. I don't have to sit there on the phone or make sure that I send certain stuff to people. It's already there. I just have to plug in their email, and bam, they get the
Right.
information they need. I'm still connecting with people, but it's freed up my time and energy a lot.
That's neat. That's neat. And you use those systems in your PT practice too, is that right?
Yeah.
Like a
Yep.
similar type
Absolutely.
of, yeah, awesome.
Yeah.
That's really neat. So I was just at a conference this last week at the Summit of Greatness, and one of the speakers was talking about the side hustle. And he's
Uh-huh.
like, everyone needs a side hustle. His book is Chris Gillibo, and he wrote a book called The $100 Startup. But his new book is called The Side Hustle, and he's basically like, everyone needs a side hustle,
Mm-hmm.
and I see that, and I agree, because it's if we put all our eggs in one basket, we just have one stream of income. Then
Yeah.
it's like we're not our investments aren't spread around to we're not diversified in
Yeah.
our income. And I see that problem with people marketing to physicians, and in the stock market, and I guess in income as well. I mean, how does that work for you? Working out for you? Is it like, okay, you've got this nice balance between PT practice, this essential oils business, and it's just like, does that feel? I mean, is that different than what you expected, I guess, out of being an entrepreneur?
Yeah, when I first decided I was going to jump into the Cash PT thing, I didn't think I'd be doing essential oils as well. But it really
Yeah.
does add value to what I do as a PT. And it's another avenue
Mm-hmm.
of getting people interested in what I have to offer. And, when I've done I've done some vendor tables at, like a business expo or the senior expo, that kind of thing. So I split up my table. Part of it has information on physical therapy and my workshops, which actually I forgot to mention, I do actually incorporate essential oils in that. And then the other
Mm-hmm.
part of it is, I have my diffuser going. I have, information about essential oils. And so, people will walk up to the table and they'll be like, they'll go one way or the other. And so I know, okay, they may be interested in this, but I tie in the other information. Like, oh,
Right.
you're interested in a class, but it opens the door for me to talk about essential oils. If they're interested
Mm-hmm.
in essential oils and they focus on, oh, that smells so good, or, whatever, then I can, say, well, this is also how I use them. And so,
Right.
it just, again, it gives that credibility to both things, and it creates value on what I can offer people.
That's really
Yeah.
awesome.
The other thing I wanted to note, like we talked about the small town, there's actually a storefront for Young Living in this town, that doesn't happen
Really.
like everywhere, but you can walk in to this store and buy Young Living oils. And I'm still able to grow my team even though I have that. And I've heard people on my team go, "Well, I can't grow my team because it's oversaturated in this area. Everybody already knows about essential oils, or they're maybe using it." I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
I have an essential oils store in my town. Why would they want to come to me? But they still are. I'm
Right.
still there. Not everybody's going to walk in that store. Not everyone's going to do that. And I'm reaching people that may have never thought they would be interested in trying essential oils, but it's given them,
Mm-hmm.
it's helping
Yeah.
them with their lives.
It's kind of like the same reason people come to see you for physical therapy, even though they can get it down the street for $25.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Yep.
it's not just the product; it's what comes with it, and who you get it from.
Yep.
That's
Absolutely.
really cool. What are some of the other marketing tools that you're using? So you're promoting your business with some of these workshops, and you're using some of the email automations, and what other things are you doing to market your business? Either one, we can talk about either business. How are you doing that
Yeah.
successfully?
So, yeah, in addition to things we talked about, I Facebook, posting on Facebook, taking out ads, creating events on there, and just trying to hype it up, sharing that information to my personal wall, but also we have a
Hey,
Woodland Park.
Justine, so you kind of
What?
cut out. So it just
Oh,
kind of
okay.
cut out. So just answer that
Okay.
question
Just
again.
go
Just
back.
say,
Yeah, so I'm
yeah,
using
just start
Facebook a
over.
lot, social media, creating events in Facebook and trying to create hype in there, sharing that information to my personal wall, but not trying to overdo it. Sharing that to the Woodland Park community page because there's about 4,000 people that are on that page. So I just share, my upcoming events, and then I've been doing talks. Like I've talked to the local bicycling club. I went in and did a talk for them. I've met. I'm actually surrounded by probably I want to say four counselors right around me, like that are in the office space that I'm at. And so I asked one of them, Actually, no, I'm sorry. She invited me. She goes, "Hey, would you want to come talk to my group therapy people?" She's an addictions counselor, so she's dealing or she's
Hmm.
helping people that um, that have gotten in trouble, and so some of them have chronic pain or whatever, their emotional pain. And so I went and talked about physical therapy, how that could help them, and essential oils. I did two different things. Um, what else? I have met with a couple. I met with a functional medicine doctor just because I haven't reached out to physicians up until this point, but I reached out to him. We met about 3 weeks ago, and because
Hmm.
his model, like he's cash based, basically, he does do some insurance, but it doesn't cover his fees. And so I reached
Hmm.
out to him and introduced myself, and we had an amazing talk. So I'm feeling good about that. Um, Trying to think of what else. I have my little notes
Well,
here.
are you
Yeah,
able to
networking.
like, yeah, like, are you able to track like where people are coming from when you're doing these events, and what are you doing to, you know, keep up with people after them?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I have on my intake form when I even just talk to people and follow up with them, I ask them, where'd you hear about me? It's on my intake form. I'm getting a lot of Facebook stuff recently, people that
Hmm.
I haven't met in person at all, that are seeing me on Facebook. But let me show you this. So this is my follow-up system. It's a binder. I have
Nice.
one for physical therapy. It's just a sheet of paper. And what I do when I do like an in-person thing, I have them fill out, you probably can't see this, but I just made a thing here. Let me see.
Hmm. Oh yeah,
I
that
just
looks
made it.
great.
Yeah. It's just, it says I'm interested in, and they can check. I'm interested in learning more about physical therapy, essential oils, group classes. I want to receive notification about upcoming classes and workshops. And then they can put their
Hmm.
name, email, phone. And then what I do is I just take this, a piece of tape onto a piece of white paper, and I follow up with them. I write down where I met them, and I call them. I get them into my email funnel, and I let that start working for me, and I follow up with them as well. And I go through this binder periodically, and I'm like, oh, okay, I have some time. I'm gonna go through this binder. I haven't heard from this person. They haven't returned my call, or I talk. I keep notes. If I talk to them, and if I remember them from an event, I'll write down what I remembered about them. If they told me about their knee, I write that down, so I can
Hmm.
have that. And then I have a separate one for my essential oils, and it's the
Oh
same
wow.
basic thing. That I have, certain sections of people that haven't bought into anything, but I'm going to follow up with them and nurture them along, and people that have bought in, and yeah, that are
That's
already
really
on my
great.
team.
That's cool. Thanks for sharing that. That's neat. I
Yeah,
haven't
so it's
seen
super
that
simple.
before. Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
used to do everything in a little binder, and then computers came around, and I kept losing stuff. So I was like, well, if
Yeah.
I put it on a computer, I won't lose it.
I'm a pen and paper,
That's
definitely.
neat. That's very cool. What other what other kind of tools are you using, or so is there anything else that you're
Yeah.
doing or using that we haven't checked in on? Because I mean, that was really helpful. I'm sure some people are like, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
I need to do that.
I joined the local chamber of commerce, and I've heard different reviews on doing that. But for here, our chamber of commerce they're amazing. I don't have anything as a business owner to compare it to, but talking to other business owners, they do
Hmm.
a monthly lunch and learn. So just attending them, they have like small business toolkit they call it or whatever, but learning information. But just even learning, or like it's basically all about nurturing relationships, meeting people, getting
Right.
to know them, and letting them know me. So they do a monthly business after hours. So going and networking there and just talking to people. I've met people just even at church, talking to people
Hmm.
after church, or people that that are I don't know. Hold on, I'm drawing a blank here. What else I do?
That's okay. Yeah.
Oh, I'm in a networking group too where we pass leads. That hasn't so far. I only joined this last April, so that hasn't been a big thing for me. But just like anything, this is a long-term
Yeah.
game. I have to just put myself out there, keep meeting people, keep letting them, know me, me know them, and I
Hmm.
know it'll come around.
That's cool. Is that group is one of those ones where it's like, okay, we get one PT, one accountant, one
Mhm.
banker, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, but there's a chiropractor in there, and we have very similar. We market to the like very similar people.
Hmm.
So it'll be interesting on how that works out. But, I'm just
Yeah.
going to keep positive about the whole thing because they offer, different services, slightly different services than me, and they don't do women's health. So I think if I
Hmm.
just continue to learn about that and promote that. Oh, I know. I'm getting ready to go talk to the MOPS group, Mothers of Preschoolers,
Oh,
and I'm going
cool.
to focus just on women's health. Like incontinence and pelvic health and all of that stuff. Um, they have a later side of Christmas parade here in Woodland Park in December that I did last year, and just getting my logo in front of people, just getting out there, showing my fun side, just being me. That's what
That's
I'm
great.
doing.
That's perfect. That's all you need.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're doing quite a bit. It's funny. People are like, yeah, the networking stuff, chamber works for me. And for me, like when I went and did that stuff, I felt like either people were trying to sell to me or they were just there for the free drinks.
Mm.
So when I did these small group networking, it was like people just wanted me to buy their product. I'm like, I'm not your customer. I'm here to like network, not buy.
Yeah.
And then I'd go to these networking events at like 7 o'clock at some place, and there was beer and snacks, and no one wanted to like actually have a conversation with someone they didn't know. It was all about the free drink and, oh, I just got off work and work sucks, and it's just like
Yeah.
I just wasn't finding the right places, but I'm glad to hear that that's working because
Yeah.
I know it can be a powerful group and strategy.
Yeah. Maybe it's because of the size of my town, but I have gotten people from the business after hours to end up being
Mm-hmm.
patients. In fact, one time this lady, one of my best patients, she walked up and she said, I hadn't met her, but she had read some of well, through the Chamber of Commerce, they do these weekly emails called the Grapevine, and you can't repeat your advertisements. So it's got to be something different every week, and
Mm-hmm.
they have like a 50% open rate. But anyway, she walked up to me during business after hours and she said, "Hey, I'm so and so. I'd love to book an appointment with you." And I was like, "What? What? This is a complete stranger. I didn't even know she knew about me." And she said, "No, I've read your website. I've been watching you on Grapevine." She goes, "I think you can help me. I need to make an appointment." And I was like, "Great." And from there it turned into at business after hours after that because she was there as a
Mm-hmm.
business owner or whatever. So she would introduce me. "Oh, this is my physical therapist," and so
That's
it's
awesome.
it's been great. Yeah, because
That's
people
really
here,
cool.
yeah, the networking helps.
Yeah. So I want to change directions a little bit. What are some of the biggest struggles and challenges you've had in starting your practice?
I'm gonna tell you the biggest struggle for me is fear, like and
Mm-hmm.
confidence. I really honestly never thought I would be here. I never thought I would open my own practice because I always questioned whether I had it. Like if I had my skills were enough, if I was enough. And so fear has been a big challenge for me. It continues to be, and it probably always will be. Just continue to share. It's okay for me to share my story. It's okay for me to be me. It's okay if I don't help everybody that I treat. I'm going to try my best, but I mean, I used to put that all on me. Um, but yeah, just continuing to work through that fear. And then the other challenge has been, I mean, I know how to be a PT. You know what I mean? I've been a
Mm-hmm.
PT for 15 years. I know that. I didn't know a lick about business sense. I didn't know about marketing. I didn't know how to make a Facebook ad. So there's been a lot of hours that I've had to spend learning. And I didn't have the money, and I still don't have a lot of money to just give that to people and say, "Hey, do this for me." I've had to figure it out. And
Mm-hmm.
so that's a challenge. And for me, for a while, I mean, I worked full time the first 4 years of my career, but up until this last time, I was a stay at home mom working part time as a physical therapist. So for me, the other challenge has been, and I still don't want to do this full time, but the challenge has been just balancing being a business entrepreneur and being a mom and still wanting that part of what makes me me. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so I'm still figuring that out, how to not, when I go home at the end of the day, to put my business hat up and just go home and be mom and spend time with my kids because that's important.
Right. Yeah, that's awesome. That's great. And
Yeah,
so do you have a hard time taking your work, like getting home and going, oh, I'm still thinking about work and shutting that off
yeah,
and being with your kids? Yeah.
absolutely. My husband's had to talk to me a couple times. He's like, Justine, I know this is important to you, and there's always going to be something to do. Always, you're never going to get caught up. So he's like, you need to be here. We need you. So just try to.
Hmm.
It'll be there tomorrow. So I've been trying more to do that. Of like even just mentally tell myself, the day is done. I've done as much as I can today. It's time for me to be home. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I have a similar struggle. I think for me, I think it's like accomplishing little tasks. I'm like, oh, that was a good day. And if I have a day where I just worked in the middle of something, I'm like, oh. But
Yeah.
one thing that I've learned recently, and I need to start implementing myself, and this may help me not, but this may help somebody, is to write down like the day before. So like not before you go to bed. Okay, tomorrow I want to get these 3 things accomplished. And when those 3 things are accomplished, then it's a win, and everything else is just bonus.
Yeah.
And then you go, okay, I got my 3 things accomplished. This isn't done, no big deal. That's on the list for tomorrow. So I think that's something I'm going to start trying. I've been implementing a bunch of other things lately too, and that's on my list going forward.
Yeah, I have a weekly list, and when it doesn't get done that week, it moves to the next list. I do try to
Yeah.
prioritize, but that would be good if I actually put, okay, Monday I'm going to do these 3 things on this list of 20
Yeah.
things, split it up into
Yeah.
each day, and yeah, get that sense of accomplishment daily.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. That's neat. There's let's see. I was going to see if you guys are listening and you want to if you have any questions for Justine, go ahead and put them in the comments section. And we do have a couple questions, Justine, that I'm going to ask. Okay. So Britt asks, on average, how many patients do you see per day?
On average, I would say I try to keep it to 5 or less. 4 is a good day for me. Yep.
Yeah. And then Aaron was asking, where's your space and how much how big is it? What do you pay for it? How do you share your treatment space with someone else? I think some people would just want to know some logistics. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like office space, office center. So there's a lot of different offices in my building. I just rent one room, and it's a windowless room. Please don't do that ever.
Mm-hmm.
You can't control the heat in that. But I don't know how many square feet it is. I would say around 700 to 900. It's not very big. It's one room, but I have enough room for a chair, my desk, and obviously my massage table. And then I have, like I said earlier, a few counselors around me. I pay $350 a month for rent, and another, I think, $125 for my group space. And the group space is actually all in the same building. It's just right around the corner. So it's a separate space from here. Did I get all the answers?
Yeah, that's it. And then the next ones were, a couple of people asked, basically, how long did it take you once you decided to start or you hung your shingle? How long did it take you to build to a comfortable caseload, or to get to treating 4 patients a day, and what kinds of things did you do to get there, or to manage that?
Yeah, so come May is when I opened my doors, and that I had an open house, but 2 days before I had my open house, I did a free workshop at the library, and just basically to kind of introduce myself, introduce what I was doing, how I was different, what myofascial release was. And then from there, my closing point was, hey, I'm having this open house. I'm going to have refreshments. I'm given a 10-minute sample, treatment. Come and check it out. And so I got people to do that, and some people booked right away. But I would say it's taken me to get to the point where I feel like, okay, this is going to work out. It's probably taken me about a year. I mean, I'm going to be honest. I'm not one that was like, woohoo, I got all these people right away. But I've had enough throughout the time to pay my rent, to start getting some income. And I think I told you this before. I still work 1 day a week as an independent contractor. But I actually just probably 2 weeks ago talked to my employer down in the Springs and said she knew right as soon as I decided I wanted to do this. I talked to her right away and said, hey, this is what I'm going to do, risking that she could say you're out of here, but she didn't. She's been very supportive. She's just an amazing PT. But I talked to her 2 weeks ago and I said, hey, I'm getting busier. I'm thinking probably by the end of the year I'm going to be out on my own. And so
yeah.
But and to give you an idea, like for me to be out on my own, I'm looking at 15 to 20 patients. I don't want to really do more than 20 patients a week because
Hmm.
I want to be a mom. I want to be there to go to my kids and stuff, and I have to pick them up to take them to activities. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. I mean, 15, 20 patients a week can be a pretty nice income.
Hmm. Yep.
You know, I mean, it didn't, we don't need to see like 50, I mean, I don't want to see 20, more than 20 patients a
Yeah.
week.
Yeah, because down there I have to see 8 patients a day, and I know there's probably people on here going, that's what I see more than that, and 8 patients a day, that would be great, but I get 45 minutes, I spill it over into my 45-minute lunch, I'm scarfing stuff down, trying to make notes of what I just did with the first 4 of my day. I love my coworkers down there and stuff, but my body cannot handle, can't do that. 8 hour or
Hmm.
8 patients back to back with very little time to take a breath.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
just
Oh,
not
and
doing
it's,
that.
yeah, I mean, I think like, one of the other things that, some people comment about is like, oh, I'm not worried I'm growing fast enough, or, there are some people that will get started and, maybe they do some things differently early on and they were busy right away. And, even 3 years into my practice, I had a couple weeks and I was like, where did everyone go? I was like, I've been doing great. And then all of a sudden it's like poof. And that
Yeah,
even happened this Wednesday. We were both full and we show up like Tuesday afternoon and it's like everyone disappeared. And it's, when you have a low volume of people, 5 people, needing to rearrange their schedule for a meeting, or someone's sick or something like that, can make a big impact in the schedule. So I think that those are always the hard times too. It's like, oh, what's wrong with me? But
yeah,
it's not us.
yeah. I just take that time then, that downtime
Yeah.
to go back through, and tweak things. Like I have systems in
Right.
place, but then it's going back through, like for instance, as I added the essential oils, going back through those emails and adding that component of it to my first emails that I
Hmm.
ever composed. So using
Yeah.
downtime because it's going to pay off eventually. So I'm
Right.
going to need that.
Right. And I bet the essential oils makes the up and down of the PT practice buffer a little bit more gentle.
Yeah. Yeah. And what
Right.
I'm building there is residual income, is what they say. Like you're doing the work, but eventually it's paying off. So, like, I'm doing the work, but I get a monthly paycheck from that, and
Hmm.
that's supplementing that too. And, I'm taking part of that and I'm putting that back into the business and taking care of, you know, the people that have expressed some interest in it and taking care of the people that have bought into it. But it's a business. Just like my PT business, I have to have
Yeah.
expenses with that.
Right.
But yeah. And if,
Cool.
I
Well.
was going to say, I would just want to put a plug in. So we're
Mm-hmm.
actually doing an online Facebook class tonight, me and my team.
Hmm.
So that starts at 6 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. It's just, you kind of go through it at your own pace, but we're giving away a starter kit. So if anybody that is not already a Young Living member is interested in learning more about it, and if it's something that you haven't thought about before, maybe think about it
Hmm.
now. Our team, I won't like coach the people that are already doing it because that's taken time and I'm basically giving time and energy to something that I don't have the time and energy for, unless I want
Hmm.
to give it to my team. I want to really
Yeah.
devote it to helping other people that want to do that. So.
So if someone isn't able to make that, how should they or could they contact you if they're interested?
Yeah, so the best way to contact me is through Facebook. So just send me a message, and then I can get them invited to that. But basically, it starts tonight. You don't have to be live, but we're giving the starter kit away on Sunday morning. We'll announce the winner. So as long as the information you've touched base in the class and commented and read things, then you're signed up to possibly win that. So best way is to contact me through Facebook, and
Hmm.
it's just Justine Calderwood is my Facebook name, and just send me a message and I walk you through it.
Awesome. So
Yeah.
Justine, if you were going to sit down or chat with someone who's interested in starting a cash-based practice, what's the number one thing you would tell them?
Do it even before you're ready. Yeah,
Hmm.
just if you're considering it, it's probably already a nudge that you should be doing it. So just do it before you're even ready. You're not going to get to the point someday where it's like you're going to have all the time, you're going to have the financial resources, and if you save for all of that, that day may never come. So just start. There's so many people in this group that has helped me grow to feel confident enough to do it and to answer questions. Like you're going to find your people. You're going to find the people that are going to support you. Just do it.
Yeah. Awesome.
And get
Um,
your program. I mean, I am not lying when I said if I hadn't come across you, I probably wouldn't be doing it. I wouldn't. I mean, I like Jerry Carter, but I couldn't do it with just an ebook of reading about
mhm.
cash based. I needed the templates and I needed those modules to be able to go through step by step and go, oh, okay, and changing my mindset. You know, I learned so much from that um, that I couldn't have done it on my own.
Yeah. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm so stoked for you. I'm happy. That's really great. Awesome. Well, is there anything else that you want to share you think is important? I mean, that was a big one, like taking action and doing.
Yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I don't
Okay.
know. Any other
Well,
questions people have?
yeah. Any other questions? There were, yeah, there was another question about, raising your rates and, how did you set your rates and have you raised them since you started?
I have
Anything like that?
not. Again, that's the little fear voice in my head. I'm going to be honest. I know it's there.
Hmm.
So I charge, if you guys want to know, I charge 125 for an evaluation. I charge 110 for treatment. If I do packages, so if I give a little bit of a discount if somebody, because I want them to invest in their treatment. I don't want them just to come in
Hmm.
and for one or two appointments and be done. So I give them a discount at $100 per visit if they buy a minimum of 3 additional visits. I have not raised my rates. I set my rates based on the contacts I had made through, like, I saw what personal trainers were charging, what the massage therapists were charging. I met with a local physical therapist. There's 3 PT places in town, and this was the one that was, he's more of a private practice. The other one is through the hospital, and the other one in town is owned by Colorado Sports and Spine, so it's like a physician owned.
Hmm.
And so I met with him, and he told me, um, actually, I'd already set my rate, but he told me he charges $55, and they only see people for 30 minutes. So I knew I was right in line with what they were offering. But no, I have not raised my rates yet, but I'm okay with that. There's fear there, but I'm all right with where I'm at. Like I'm happy with what I'm making.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Right on. Well, you got
Oh,
plenty
and
of
I
room to
charge
raise
two
them
hundred
up.
dollars when we do the 2 therapist ones. I charge two hundred
Yeah.
dollars, which isn't,
Yeah.
I know is not enough.
Yeah. Well,
But
you've got plenty of room between 100 and 150 to raise your rates when people won't really notice the difference. So
okay,
when you're
cool.
ready,
When I'm ready,
when
jump
you're
in
ready, I
there,
don't want to
right?
push you. Yeah. But I've been there. I've done it like a bunch. And it's just one of those things people aren't going to notice the difference because they're not shopping for you or for any of us because of what we charge. If
Hmm.
they were shopping based on price, they would go somewhere else.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
I agree.
I sure would.
All
All
right,
right.
I'll get
Well,
my big girl panties on and raise those rates.
get them on, bring them up to like, at least like 135, 147, somewhere under 150 is easy.
Okay.
It's not that over 150 is hard. It's just a different promise. And there are people, I just want you to know, there are people out there charging 225,
Hmm.
275 for physical therapy. I mean, it's not physical therapy. It's, all these things that you told us you promised people is treating active people, keeping them from medications and surgery and those things and providing the experience that you do. That's what people pay for. And that kind of
Yeah.
stuff is invaluable when we share it with them in that way and in the way that you're doing. So
Yeah. Oh, you know what? That just reminded me too of like, since I did not grow up in Colorado and I grew up in the Midwest and people there don't really value their health, you know, people here do. So that's great
mhm.
because people here are very active, but you know, it's a part of that learning what motivates them, what are they missing out on, and when people can't go
Right.
out and get in the mountains and hike and ski and bike and you know all that stuff, it really bothers them. So they are
Yeah.
willing to do something about it. So
Yeah, it's true. It's very, very true. Well, Justine, thank you so much for being here today.
thanks for having me. It was a pleasure.
Yeah, this is really great. And I know you're doing some awesome things. You've grown a ton since I first met you, and I'm excited to see your practice be successful. And so keep rocking.
All right. Thanks a
All
lot.
right. Thank you
Yeah.
guys.
See ya.